Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. Citing security concerns, the Czech parliament has passed a law requiring Russians to renounce their citizenship before applying for Czech nationality. Addressing such threats is not discrimination but a duty, says the country's interior minister. The decision has been criticised by members of the Czech opposition. Why is this controversial? Will this move have the desired effect, that is, enhancing Czech security? Well, to explore this, we are joined by Jan Čulík. He's a senior lecturer at the University of Glasgow. Welcome, Mr. Čulík, and thank you for taking the time. Okay.
Well, I am not underestimating the danger of Russian spies and, of course, Russian disinformation, which is affecting the whole of Europe, not just Eastern Europe. And incidentally, the Czech government is really inefficient in dealing with Russian disinformation. But this issue, this decision, is really controversial, if I may say so. And it is interesting that actually even the Czech media, not just the Czech opposition, has really assumed quite a critical attitude to this decision. Now, one procedural reason why this decision is wrong is that many people are criticizing it, that this kind of decision is a kind of what they call in Czech přílepek, an incongruous little bit attached to a law about how to care for Ukrainian refugees. And that is really basically unacceptable for lawyers. And actually quite a lot of critics are saying that it will go to the Constitutional Court, and primarily because it is an incongruous bit in the Ukrainian law, it will be basically scrapped by the Constitutional Court. Well, we shall see.
Okay, I'd like to pick up on a couple of things that you've said so far, Mr. Čulík. The first is that it's controversial. I mean, it's not unusual, is it, for countries to say, well, you can't have dual citizenship and you have to forsake your previous one if you want to be a citizen of our country. I mean, what's wrong with that? That's the first point. And the second is that it's not unknown, of course, for Russia to say, well, we're protecting the interests of Russian citizens in a particular country, and so we're going to invade. And so on that score, you can understand this move, can't you?
Well, if I may say so, the sort of notion that every Russian is pro-Putin is slightly racist. But the main problem is, you know that when Putin started his disgusting invasion of Ukraine 3 years ago, about 700,000 Russians escaped from Russia. And in the Czech Republic, there are 44,000 Russians. And most of them are anti-Putin. Of course, you can't say how many of them are the Russian spies. But the real problem with this is that when the Russians living in the Czech Republic are asked to get rid of their Russian citizenship, they have to go to Russia and apply to the state to free them from Russian citizenship. They can't just abandon it. And now look at all these kind of 25-year-olds, 30-year-olds who escaped from Russia. Russia will say, right, you are 25, you should have been in the army, you should have been fighting the Ukrainians. If they go to Russia back to ask to basically renounce their the state to allow them to be freed from the Russian citizenship, they will be arrested. So this is really quite controversial. There are various specialists in immigration and human rights specialists who are actually saying that because many Ukrainians speak Russian, many of these Russians in the Czech Republic are actually actively helping Ukrainian refugees, and many of them are actually known as people who have openly criticized Putin. And basically by asking them, the Czech state, to renounce their Russian citizenship, which they can't because they have to go to Russia to get rid of it, is really endangering them. So
I understood.
I would actually say that there is well, it's not terribly well thought out.
Understood, understood, but that doesn't get rid of. Sorry, but I really must get this question in. That doesn't really get rid of the risk that, you know, whether these Russians who live in the Czech Republic are pro-Putin or not, it doesn't get rid of the risk of Putin using them as an excuse for military action in the Czech Republic, simply by saying that we are protecting Russian citizens. And as I say, it's not the first time that Putin would have used this ploy. So that, would you not agree, is a reasonable basis?
An interesting point, but there are only 44,000 of them in a country of 10 million. I think probably that is really quite unlikely that for such a small minority, Putin would actually invade the Czech Republic. I think if Putin wants to invade the Czech Republic, which he probably does, he will do this for some other reasons. But one interesting thing is, I wanted to say that it kind of smacks slightly of racism. And also, as I'm saying, generally, Czech politicians are not actually terribly able to invent clever solutions. I would like to go back to this thing that really Czech Republic should take steps against disinformation, against possible Russian spies. But this is not the thing. And so there was one party.
So what should the government do?
If I may finish. There was one party who actually put out the slogan, "We don't want matryoshkas in our country." And the Russians responded, "We are not matryoshkas, we are people." And I read these articles about how there are, I don't know, IT specialists, Russian IT specialists. One of them was saying, "I have trained a lot of people in the Czech Republic." And do you know what they are saying? They are, oh yes, and one other thing, which was the latest kind of thing that is related to this. The Czech authorities have now said that they are suspending giving Russians Czech citizenship until further notice anyway. So first there was this problem that they had to get rid of the Russian citizenship. Then there is this problem that they will actually not be able to apply at all, possibly until the Ukrainian war finishes. So what many Russians are saying, and this is maybe interesting, why don't we go to Germany? In Germany, we will get our German citizenship within 3 years. In the Czech Republic, you have to wait for many more years. And then we can, if we want, come back to the Czech Republic.
Understood. So these are practical issues which the Russian citizens in Czech Republic will need to face. You talk about them having to go back to Russia. Surely this can be done at the Russian embassy, could it not? In Prague.
I don't know, but
it would seem to make sense.
Probably could be done at the Russian embassy, but there is still this problem that if you are a 25-year-old who should be in Russia and you should be fighting on the Ukrainian front, when you go to the Russian embassy and apply for getting rid of your Russian citizenship, they will say, and I'm quoting these articles in the Czech press, they will say, you haven't fulfilled your duty, you haven't fulfilled your national service, so we are not releasing you.
Understood.
So basically, there is this problem that really the Czech authorities, by this decision, were forcing those mostly anti-Putin Russians to actually deal with the criminal Russian state.
Understood. So tell the audience, please. No, can you tell the audience, please, Mr. Čulík? We understand perhaps the reason behind this action by the Czech government. What do you think they could have done instead of taking this action?
Well, I am not a specialist in secret police or sort of anti or intelligence activities, but I unfortunately feel that all the kind of indications are that the Czech intelligence service is not very efficient in actually finding out Russian spies in the Czech Republic. And I would actually, if I was the Czech Home Secretary, I would really boost the Czech intelligence service so that they would specialize in dealing with this very serious danger of Russian or Putin-esque infiltration in the Czech Republic, but they are not very good at it.
All right, so we should improve the quality of the intelligence services in the Czech Republic rather than taking away Russian passports for those who want Czech citizenship. Mr. Čulík, thank you very much indeed for joining us and sharing your views with our audience. Have a good day, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's all from us in this episode of World Talks. Goodbye.